Kyushu Basho is always an interesting one for me. So, sumo historically is a northerner sport, and Aomori at the northern tip of the main island of Honshu, just before you cross the water to Hokkaido, that's sumo's spiritual heartland. So, it's interesting to me that when sumo finally has one truly regional tournament every year, it's actually held in the far south, not in the far north. There's definitely reasons for this. Fukuoka's the fourth largest metro in Japan, behind the megalopoli of Tokyo and Osaka, and then the ridiculously large Nagoya area. And also, if you're gonna host a basho in November, you might as well go south and make sure the weather is nice as opposed to whatever Tohoku looks like right now. But regardless, whenever the Kyushu basho rolls around, it always makes me pause to check in on how Japan's gateway to Asia is faring in the world of Ozumo at present. Meisei's from Kagoshima Prefecture, which is fascinating historically because it's the port city the Tokugawa regime allowed the Dutch to trade in, making it their sole, highly controlled window into the world of Western Europe. I feel like this kind of fits Meisei if you squint hard enough, figuratively and literally, this keg of gunpowder with all this potential to rock Japan if it ever got out, which, spoiler, it eventually did, and that's Meisei. So much potential bottled up in there, he can come out of the gates and beat 3 Ozeki and a Yokozuna, then promptly lose 10 matches in a row. Meisei's coming off back-to-back double-digit loss tournaments, and he had double-digit losses in Fukuoka last year too, so it's hard to say that he's poised for a hometown resurrection, but at M11, anything's possible for the former Sekiwake. Then comes the old guard, Komusubi Shodai and Maegashira 12 Sadanoumi. Kumamoto is famous for 2 things, hot springs and this adorable bear mascot. But sadly, I'm not so sure our 2 Kumamoto boys will be as influential. Shodai is of course the Lord of Chaos, former Ozeki plummeting down the ranks, saving himself just in time to save his Makuuchi salary and climb back up to back-to-back 10 wins coming into November, but ranked at Komusubi there won't be any matches he can take off and win by veteran savvy alone, and honestly I feel like he's more likely looking forward to a dip in the hot springs of home than a push for a second Yusho. And Sadanoumi, there's a reason my sumo viewing group's nickname for him is the Sad Man. He's undeniably good, and he's capable of beating higher-ranked Rikishi and cleaning house at M12 with clearly inferior Rikishi surrounding him, but he somehow feels cursed to never climb the mountain. And that leaves us with our last local boy as our November Kyushu hope, and that is Nagasaki's own, the Sekiwake denied Hiradoumi. 24-year-old Hirado has been the stealth riser of his generation, and no one could possibly have predicted this stellar culmination of a 10-5 special prize winning May at his Komusubi debut. Just no one. It's impossible, for real. I definitely didn't take a massive L on picking Nishiki Fuji over him. But for real, his 2024 has been under the radar but great. Before that 7-8 blip last basho after disappointingly being denied Sekiwake. What he hasn't been able to do, however, is beat the true favorites at the top of the Bansuke consistently. In 2024, he's 0-3 against Ozeki Kotozakura, 0-3 against Ozeki Hoshoryu, and a little better, coming into November, he's 2-2 against current Ozeki Onosato and 3-1 against former Ozeki Kirishima, so he can beat the top fighters. The question is, can he beat enough of them in a single basho to contend for a Yusho? On skill level alone, yeah, I'd say he can. And on preparation, I'd say so too. He's fought against these guys for half the year now at this point, and surely has a feel for what it's like to face off against them week after week. But what remains to be seen is, what's the X factor that's going to push him over the edge? Contending for a Yusho means turning an impressive 10-5 into a dominant 13-2. Shout out to Nishonu Seki's 12-win Yusho hate. But if you're winning a Yusho and you don't want more than 2 losses, so can Hiradoumi rally the hometown crowd into wins over the likes of Kotozakura, Hoshoryu, Onosato, Kirishima, Daisho, Shodai, and Wakamoto Haru? Can that be the X factor? Because he can only afford to drop 2 of those matches. And what about the dark horses waiting in the wings of Wakataka Kage, Abi, and the beast from the deep, Takeru Fuji? The deck is massively stacked against him, and personally I doubt it'll happen, but honestly that's what makes sports fun and why I'm rooting for him. Everybody wants to see the hometown hero come home and make good. So even if it isn't a Yusho, Hiradoumi has the tiebreak for me against all my favorite Rikishi this time around, and here's hoping it ends 2024 with a return to Sanyaku and a push for the top moving forward. But how about you all? You got any favorites in these Kyushu boys? Let me know, and enjoy the ball show.